Good evening, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Greg Stewart, the chair of the Center County Dems, and we appreciate your support. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Ezra Naines. Many of you know he ran against Jake Corman a little while ago, and he's going to be our official MC for the evening. So I'm going to hand it off to him at this point.
Thank you so much, Greg. It is wonderful to be here. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Center County Democratic Committee's fall dinner and get out the vote rally. For the first time ever, as Josh very astutely said, we are virtual tonight, but it's okay if you want to eat dinner while we're doing this. Just turn off your sound. This event, honestly, has always been one of my favorite of the year. Being together in a room with all of you, with our elected officials, our candidates, and our special guests is a moment when you can feel the bond of community, of friendship, of shared values, and the incredible energy and power of the Democratic Party. It's an event that makes me feel proud. Now tonight, though we are separated by distance, we are more together than ever in our hearts and minds, and in our commitment to elect Joe Biden to the presidency and to elect our stellar slate of local and statewide candidates. Now, before we begin our program tonight, let us turn our attention to a higher power. I'd like to introduce Katie Blume, member of the Center County Democratic Committee's Executive Committee, Penns Valley Chair, member of the Milheim Borough Council. Katie, would you lead us in prayer?
Certainly. As we have many people from many different faith communities on this virtual dinner tonight, I was trying to think of what to do, and we recently, many people celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day recently. So for this evening, I found a prayer from the Chippewa, even though we are on what would traditionally be known as Lenape land here in Center County. So we pray that someday an arrow will be broken, not in something or someone, but by each of humankind to indicate peace, not violence. Someday, oneness with creation, rather than domination over creation, will be the goal to be respected. Someday, fearlessness to love and make a difference will be experienced by all people. Then the eagle will carry our prayer for peace and love to the people of all of the communities, so that they may sit in the same circle together to communicate in love and experience the presence of the great mystery in their midst. Someday can be today for you and me.
Wow, that was absolutely beautiful, Katie. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to introduce Jason Moser, our newly elected Center County Controller, and I believe the first Democrat to hold this role, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Jason, take it away.
Here we go. All right. Sorry, everyone. There we are. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jason.
My pleasure.
Okay, this is an amazing night. We have some very incredible people here. And I'm going to introduce an incredible person to introduce another incredible person, okay? So first, I want to introduce a person who is, I think, wonderful to know and to work with. She is a true leader, a driving force in our party in Center County. She's Center County Democratic Committee's Director of Campaigns, Central PA Regional Volunteer Lead, and Delegate for Pete for America. Everybody, our Jessica O'Hara. Jess, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ezra. It is my great honor to introduce Mayor Pete Buttigieg as our keynote speaker. I'm looking forward to his calming influence and words of encouragement to motivate us through these final weeks of this election cycle. Most of us here are probably familiar with Mayor Pete's impressive and varied resume recently updated to include impersonating Mike Pence for Senator Harris's debate prep and stunning into silence various Fox News hosts, earning him the new nickname of Slayer Pete, although we who follow Mayor Pete closely are quick to point out that he's been doing that for a while. We Pete supporters also like to discuss when we knew that Pete was first our candidate. I was on board immediately because I got an early insider tip from Pete's own father, Joe, who was my college professor and mentor back when Mayor Pete was about 12 years old. Professor Buttigieg was an extraordinarily kind and brilliant person. I spent hours with him talking a little about my senior thesis, but a lot more about a bunch of other stuff. And in those wide-ranging conversations, Peter often came up. And now, Joe was humble, yet he spoke of Peter and his abilities with such admiration and awe. It really struck me. And I thought with some envy how lucky Peter was to have such parents and such gifts. His future seemed boundless. And at that time, I had never imagined that Pete's bright future would somehow be a shared enterprise, shared with me and with all of us. And that Pete wasn't the only person who was lucky he existed. And we still talk about Pete and his future, but you know, we are really living in the Pete Buttigieg era right now. First, Pete taught us how to speak about and reframe our democratic values. He reminds us that the American people are with us and our democratic values are fundamentally American. Second, Pete's campaign transformed American politics, not only because of its historic nature, but because it too was built on fundamental values such as empathy, belonging, and joy. Organized in almost every state, Pete for America assembled a vast network of volunteers who first showed up for Pete, and then showed up for our values and one another, and then for our democracy. Most of Team Pete in Pennsylvania were political novices. Now we have Team Pete alumni running PA House campaigns and working up and down the ballot. We have Team PTA members on this very call, like Sally, Molly, and Jamie. And we are forever activated, connected, and engaged. And third, Pete has inspired the next generation. The founders of PSU Students for Pete on this call, Sarah, Dan, and Jack, have gone to start new organizations and work for candidates back home, in addition to taking classes about deliberative democracy. We also have a young high schooler named Noah with us, who just read the introduction of Pete's new book, Trust, out loud to his parents last night. So the future is here, and it's ours to win. Thank you, Mayor Pete, for talking with us tonight and for working so tirelessly and so brilliantly for us all.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for everything that you did to fly the flag and live out the values of this campaign and effort. Nothing makes me feel more inspired and enthused and proud of our team than to see that folks didn't skip a beat and immediately got to work on the continuing cause and making sure that we make good on our values and elect great people, because the whole point of my candidacy was to further these values, not the other way around, and that's what we're doing right now. And I see those at stake in everything that is going on, not just in Center County, but across Pennsylvania, in addition to across the country, knowing that, you know, you are the absolute center of the political universe in so many ways right now. And knowing how much is at stake. I mean, we've been thinking about this, at least I've been thinking about this season since 4 years ago, let alone, you know, when I was on the campaign trail. It's all coming down to these few days. And part of what I'm urging folks to do is not even think of it in terms of an upcoming election day, but rather think of it in terms of a voting season that is underway right now as we speak. And we have such fantastic candidates that we can support. I'll talk in a moment about what we all know, the fundamental existential importance of ensuring that we get change in the White House. But you have so many fantastic candidates. And as we often said, even when I was running for president, we're never going to get caught treating the presidency like the only office that matters. That's why I'm so proud of Malcolm Kenyatta, who you're going to hear from tonight. Have learned so much from Josh Shapiro, who I think has such a great intuition about how to win. It's why it matters so much, Ezra, when people stand up and run for state office, legislative offices that aren't just about the future of the bench. They're about the power in this country that is in so many ways concentrated in the decisions that are made at that level. And I know I'm preaching to the choir on that, but it's just worth mentioning how much of a difference that makes. And that's why a county party is so important. That's why Center County Party and all of the county parties matter so much, because you're supporting those candidates up and down the ticket. Now, I probably don't have to tell anyone on this call why I think it's important that we elect Joe Biden. I usually specialize in going to places like Fox News, where maybe not everybody thinks of that just yet, and seeing if I can peel off just a few of those votes. And you know, that's a big part of what we've got to do. There are people even now still thinking about how to vote, and that may be hard for us to envision or believe, but you know, imagine growing up in a community, as many of us did, or those we loved did, where voting Republican was just the same thing as being respectable, or where all of the information that you got, including all the news you got, pointed in a certain direction. But even folks like that right now are thinking twice. You know, one of the things that I loved about the week of the Democratic National Virtual Convention was you saw everybody from Bernie Sanders to Republicans like John Kasich, not even those former Republicans I like to talk to, although I believe every Republican is a future former Republican potentially, but current Republicans who haven't given up their party affiliation, but have absolutely decided it's time to walk away from this president. And we welcome people into that coalition because we know how much is at stake. People are reconsidering lifelong voting habits right now, and we've got to reach out to them, reminding them how much their interests are at stake, and reminding them what the election means to each of us, because each of us thinks of something different, maybe thinks of someone different when we're getting ready to vote. Some of us think about loved ones who have pre-existing conditions. As it won't surprise you to know that I think about my marriage and the fact that it exists by the grace of a single vote on the Supreme Court. We may be thinking about loved ones who are in the military and what it would mean to have someone who actually represents a military family in the White House once again, which is one more reason I'm so enthusiastic about Joe Biden. Somebody who knows what it is to hug your son goodbye as he gets ready to go off on a deployment. Whatever your why is, make sure to share that with those who you may be able to connect with in these coming days. Whether it's through phone banks, through other field activities. And remember, we're still reaching out to voters, even if we got to do it in a different way to keep safe. Reach out to them and let them know why. But then it's not just about people deciding how they're going to vote, right? It's about people deciding whether they're going to vote. And there are a lot of Americans who, by the way, not without reason, are skeptical of the entire process, wondering whether it has anything to offer them, wondering whether it's worth participating at all, feeling burned by previous elections. And it's just as important that we reach out to everyone we know and let them know that their moment of maximum power in our society is the moment that you go in and cast that ballot. It's the one moment that elected officials are actually required to abide by whatever it is you have to say. And that's an incredible trust. I'm so glad to hear that someone was looking at the introduction of the piece of writing I just put out. One of the things I was reflecting on getting that book ready is that an election is an exchange of trust. The people are trusted in a way that not every country does, to have that kind of hiring and firing authority over our leaders. And then we, of course, expect our leaders to reciprocate that trust by serving us well. But everybody needs to hear the message that, you know, whatever you've been thinking about, whatever you've been tweeting about, whatever you've been protesting about, now's the chance to actually require the system to listen to what you have to say. And there's never been more on the line. If you told me when I was running for president at the beginning of this same year that we're living in now, if you had told me buckle up because the stakes are going to get a lot higher, I would ask you what you were talking about. How's that possible? And yet here we are, an economic crisis a moral emergency around the treatment of Black Americans and whether this country can finally deliver racial and economic justice. And of course, this pandemic that has fundamentally changed life in this country, and that we should not be satisfied to live with the worst response in the developed world. And we know it's not going to get better until we have a president who actually thinks that scientific and medical questions should be addressed in an approach that involves consulting scientists and doctors. This is basic table stakes, and yet we're not there yet. Jessica, if my father were here, who you knew, he'd probably say that the Enlightenment was on the ballot, not just democracy. And that's how I feel too. That's the moment that we're at. So we know how much is at stake, but the other thing I think we should remember, because we all know what we're up against, right, is the chance of what we have to be for. And part of why I'm excited about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the fact that we have a chance to be for living wages for every American. We have a chance to be for democratic reform that makes our democracy more worthy of the name. We have a chance to be for expanding instead of reducing Americans' access to healthcare, for the right to choose, for so many things that, by the way, the majority of the American people agree with us on already. We've just got to make sure that voice is actually heard. And then, of course, a whole new level of work will begin as we seek to make good on that. So if you feel like 2020 has been punching you in the face, if you feel like 2020 has just been one devastating blow after another, remember that the story of 2020 is not over yet, that the story of 2020 has not yet fully been written. And we get to decide what might be the most important chapter in this Titanic year. And it's decided by the work we're doing right now. Now, as you know, all eyes are on Pennsylvania. And you also hopefully know that the registration deadline is coming up tomorrow, I believe. And I know that the field team and the tacticians here will have all of the details, but also make sure that iwillvote.com is on your lips anytime you're out and about, and have even the most casual conversation with somebody who is still deciding again whether to vote. We got to make sure we get the word out about the directions too for the mail-in votes, the whole thing with the secrecy envelope and how you sign it. We do not want anybody to be disfranchised because of a technicality. So we've got to get that word out. And we got a chance to get it out to anyone and everyone. Remember all the anxiety about how can we campaign during a pandemic? And especially, because we actually care about the health and safety of our supporters. So we're not going to pack people in a closed space like the president's doing most recently in Nevada. All that anxiety, you're the answer to that. What we're doing right now, gathering in order to support one another, is the answer to that. Being part of a virtual phone bank, taking to the digital space, as well as any safe in-person campaigning that's possible. That's the answer to that. And I know exactly what you're doing. I just want you to know how impressed and how proud I am of that. One more thing I want to mention. We are hoping for a blowout, but a win is a win. And that's what we're going to earn. Now, after my experience in Iowa, I think I'm justified in saying I know as much as anybody in America how challenging it can be to not have the results on election day when you want to have results right away. But let's not allow anyone to delegitimize the election if it takes a little bit of time to get the results in, especially in a place like Pennsylvania where there are restrictions on when those early ballots can even be opened. Because if it takes a little while in a close race, and that's true of all the race, not just the presidential, but we know there will be at least some very close races in Pennsylvania. It could be an indication of people doing their job diligently and with integrity. So in addition to being absolutely vigilant in raising the alarm about any form of voter suppression on the front end, we've also got to be preparing ourselves and one another for the fact on the back end that it might take a minute and not allow that to play into the hands of anybody who would cynically call into question our democracy itself just because they didn't like the result that was shaping up, especially if it's in an area where Democratic votes are perhaps more likely to be coming in later in the game. I know that's a bit of a technical note, but again, I know I'm also speaking to some of the most involved, engaged, passionate folks. And so I just wanted to mention that and encourage you to spread that word too as you go out and about. Bottom line, as challenging or even bleak as this year and this last few years has been, we get to decide what happens next. And I actually think, believe it or not, 2020 could be a year that we look back on with pride. because it could be the year that we decided to do something different and so much better. And if we do that now, imagine what the 2020s as a decade might represent in this country. Anyone alive and able to be involved right now, eligible to vote, even not yet old enough to vote, but old enough to volunteer, could have a hand in shaping where our country is headed in a way that for better or for worse, history has placed at our feet, the likes of which we haven't seen in about a century. The decisions we're about to make just about how to get through what's immediately in front of us are nothing less than the decisions about how our political and economic arrangements are going to unfold for the rest of our lifetimes. That's what's on the line. And that's what we have a chance to be part of. And so I was delighted to see in the chat some folks mentioning the rules of the road. If you were involved in my primary campaign, they were the set of values that we tried to guide ourselves by. And one of them is joy. And I know there's an atmosphere of grim determination that settles in as we get this close to Election Day. And yet, let's not forget to find some joy in the encounter and the chance to lift one another up, because we will be so proud of what we're able to deliver if we do what I know we're capable of right now. So please stay engaged, stay strong, stay motivated. Don't let a minute go to waste. And let's say to it that there will be a lot of joy and celebration by the next time we're able to convene. Take care, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pete, for saying things that we all needed to hear. The things that you say touch our hearts, and we are so grateful for your service to our country, for your really inspiring presidential campaign, and for being here to support the Center County Democratic Committee. Help us bring Center County and Pennsylvania home for Joe Biden and the whole Democratic ticket. Thank you so much.
Can't wait. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you again, Mayor Pete. So now we're going to shift gears. I would like to introduce somebody that a couple of guests. First one has a very close connection to Center County Democratic Committee, a great history here, and he's actually really, really far away. We're all spread out tonight, but our next guest speaker, Mike Stewart, is in Hong Kong. Mike Stewart is a Penn State grad. He was president of Students for Obama in 2008. He now lives in Hong Kong and works for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and he happens to be Greg Stewart's son. We're very happy to welcome him here to share his experiences about voting from overseas. Mike, take it away.
Hello everyone. I'm just having a little trouble starting my video here, but that's okay. I'll speak to you now. I've been out abroad 10 years now. And every year, like so many Americans, we walk over to the U.S. consulate or U.S. embassy, and we drop our ballots off in the diplomatic pouch. It's we don't get to vote in person, but we do vote together. And I can tell you, the energy from Democrats abroad, even Republicans abroad for Joe Biden, is high. Every day I get to interact with people from all over the world, and I just want to convey a message that the world is watching. We're all with you. And we're super excited to get out the vote, and we can't wait till tomorrow. America's tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us from Hong Kong. It's great to see you. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Our next guest is another person with a long connection to our area, Sean Melloy. Was president of the PSU College Democrats in 2008. How awesome, what an incredible thing. Sean was just elected in June to the Democratic National Committee from Pennsylvania. Congratulations on that, Sean. And Sean is chair of the PA Dems LGBTQ caucus. Very proud to introduce Sean Melloy. Sean, please take it away.
Hello, hi everyone. So happy to be here. So thankful to Greg for allowing me to say hello. I'm excited to be representing you on the DNC. As said, I was sworn in after the convention. But I just want to say, you know, I'm in Allegheny County, but my start was in Center County. And this year is feeling a lot like 2008. You know, we had a great 2006. I remember watching it on that old leather couch in the Wegmans cafeteria. And we watched Democrats win up and down the ballot. We saw that happen in 2018, and we're growing from it, just like we did into 2008. And I know that, Center County has been blue a lot since then. However, that's a testament to the organizing that is happening year on and year off. Local elections, midterm elections, and these presidential elections. And that's what we need to make sure that we continue to do, but do in every county in Pennsylvania and do in every single state around the country, because we cannot have a 2010 in 2022. We need to win this fight here in 2 weeks and some days, but I know, working with you all and the work that you've put into changing Center County to being such a powerhouse in the state, that county is going to be that blue ball in the middle of the state, as it always is, and that we're going to be able to make sure that Pennsylvania goes back to blue. So I'm so happy to be here. If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out because Center County has a very special place in my heart. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sean. Again, thank you for being here tonight. That means so much to all of us. Moving on, it's appropriate for us to take a moment with all the people that are giving so much to achieve the goals we all share, to take a moment of thanks, acknowledgement, and gratitude. So there are some people that have made a huge difference for all of us. The first that I want to mention is Nancy Rommel. I came to know Nancy Rommel during my campaign for state senate in 2018. She is one of the kindest and sweetest people you will ever meet, and brings just the most incredible level of commitment to our party that you can imagine. It was a joy to work with her. She was our top vote-getting Biden delegate in the 12th Congressional District. She's co-chair of our local Biden efforts, including Riding for Biden, and all of our Sundays, our days of action. And she's currently focusing on student voter registration on campus. Nancy, for everything that you do and for all that you give of yourself, we all just want to say thank you so much. And we love you. Actually, that feels good too. We're also now going to take a moment to recognize all of our elected officials at the event. I won't be able to name everybody because there are so many incredible people who have run for office and been elected and serve us now, but we definitely want to take a moment to recognize and thank our Center County elected officials who are participating in tonight's dinner. Mike Pipe, Chair of the Center County Board of Commissioners, Mark Higgins, Center County Commissioner, both putting in tremendous efforts to bring home this vote secure, safe. And Jason Moser, our newly elected Center County Controller, who we saw earlier. Colleen Kennedy, newly elected Center County Treasurer, the first woman to ever hold that position. Jeremy Brion, our newly elected Prothonotary, who brings for us years of experience in the Prothonotary's office. And Scott Sayers was not able to be with us tonight, but he's our newly re-elected coroner. This is Teamwork Center County. This is the dream team. Thank you all for your service. And we also want to recognize all of our local elected officials serving our communities across the county, in our councils and boards, and everybody. Thank you for all that you do. It is truly appreciated. And our last note of thanks before we move on, I want to thank all of our hosts for tonight's event and our attendees. You are the lifeblood of the Center County Democratic Committee, and we are here tonight because of you. So thank you for your contribution, for your presence, for your energy. Okay, let's get to some really exciting people now. We're going to start with our candidates. These are the folks who we are going to elect this year to represent us in Harrisburg and in Washington, D.C. First is Lee Griffin, candidate for Congress in the 12th Congressional District. Lee is a terrific candidate. I've really enjoyed meeting him, getting to know him. He's got a strong connection to this region, and he's somebody that we can all be proud of. Lee, take it away.
Thanks, Ezra. Thanks for having me on. And thank you to everyone in Center County who is doing such incredible work to get votes out up and down the ballot, because this is going to be a really exciting November, and I can't wait for the results to roll in. So as you said, I'm Lee Griffin. I'm running for U.S. Congress in PA's 12th district, which is only 15 counties in rural north central Pennsylvania. So we've got center plus 14 more, and we just completed a tour of every single county in the district. And we stopped off in State College there for a little while. And one of the things that I think we need to make a point of saying, and we've mentioned it here before tonight, is that This area is going to have a huge outsized impact on the election this year, because Pennsylvania is in large part going to decide the presidential election. And Center County and Central Pennsylvania are in large part going to decide what Pennsylvania does. This is where we win. This is where we make our stand. Not Texas or Colorado, Central Pennsylvania, State College, Milheim, Bellefonte. This is where we win this election. And that's why I'm so excited to be here tonight with you and so excited to be running this race. I'm a first-time candidate, and I got into this because I recognize that this is the most important election of our lives. And it is going to take everything that each one of us can do to pull this out and to get blue back at the Pennsylvania level and at the national level so that we can really start moving this country forward. Because this is about our future, and the future is ours. It's ours to dream and to build however we see fit. As long as we take the reins and we can set the right direction for this country, we will set up the future generations so that they can look back at us and say, when the moment came, we looked out for them. When the moment came, we stood up for their future. And that is what we are doing right now, because this is our moment. The future is ours. Thank you.
Lee, that was beautifully said, and we are behind you 100%. Thank you so much for running such a great campaign. Okay, folks, this is where it gets a little special for me. I could speak at great length about our next speaker. She is the love of my life. She inspires our children and me every day with her generous spirit, her heart that radiates through her entire being. She is strong, she is courageous, she is determined. It is my great honor to introduce our ABC Biden Town Hall hero from right here in Center County, my wife, Mieke Haeck. Mieke?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to say that your support and outpouring of love in the past few days has meant so much to me, Ezra, and our kids. On Thursday, I had the great honor of asking Vice President Joe Biden a question at the ABC News Town Hall in Philadelphia. My list of concerns about what has happened in the US in the past 4 years and potential questions was endless. But when asked what my most pressing concern was, transgender rights was undoubtedly the first thing that came to my mind. The LGBTQ community has been under relentless attack from the Trump administration. Their rights are now more than ever threatened with a possible appointment of an extremely conservative judge, Amy Barrett. As a family with a young transgender child, we have truly been blessed with an extremely supportive, kind, and loving community. The road to where we are now as parents and as a family was certainly not always easy, but there's no doubt in my mind that we have done the right thing in supporting our daughter. Every day when I see her smiling, shining, and happy face, I think of all the kids, adults, and families out there who do not have this loving support. And my heart hurts for them. We, as a country and society, can and must do better for them and for the LGBTQ community. Joe Biden looked me straight into the eyes as he promised he would change back the law and create equal rights for all. It was a real privilege to see the kindness and compassion in his eyes. We now have 16 days left until Election Day. Many of you have voted already and have worked so hard for many, many months. I am incredibly grateful to all of you. Now, let's keep going together until November 3rd and elect Joe Biden to be our next president. Thank you.
Thank you, Mieke. A little misty there. Thank you so much. That was
You're
beautiful.
welcome.
Okay, let's get back to some candidates now. Our next speaker is Joe Waltz, our candidate for state representative in the 76th district. Joe is a phenomenal candidate. He has a great history in the 76th. He's a unifying and thoughtful campaigner, and he will serve us admirably in Harrisburg. Joe, please take it away.
Everyone that's listening in tonight. What's the job of a state representative? I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I think the job of a state representative is to help people. To help people, you have to listen to people. And I'm not talking about national issues. I'm not talking about issues that you're going to read in big city newspapers. I'm talking about issues that you're going to see. Hello, Ezra, am I there?
I got you back.
Okay, Ezra, I'm sorry. Did you hear anything?
A few things. Why don't you go back a couple of sentences? It's, hey, these are Zoom events, you know? It's okay.
Okay, yeah, technology.
We
Thanks,
got an extra
Ezra.
minute for you, Joe. We want to hear from you, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. As I was saying, what I want to do is I want to help people in this district. As I was saying earlier, not with national issues, not with issues that you're going to see in the big city newspapers every day, but issues that keep people in Pennsylvania, in my case, specifically people in the 76th district, issues that keep them awake at night, basically because it affects them each and every day of their life. I'm talking about issues like, is their child receiving a quality and equitable education? Issues like, is that bridge that my family crosses going to and work or going to and from school every day? Issues such as access to high-speed internet for my children, to be able to do their schoolwork, to do their research, for seniors, to be able to access telemedicine, to give them quicker treatment, less expensive treatment. Issues such as our small business and farmers. Can they access high-speed internet to check on research, to get the latest prices, to telemarket themselves? And as I said earlier, Ezra, to help, you have to listen. And here's my pledge. I will listen to every single person in the 76th district. I do not care if they're young or old. I do not care if they're man or woman. I don't care about their race. I don't care about their religion. I don't care about who they love. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat, nor do I care if they voted for me or if they didn't vote for me. If they call me, if they email me, if they walk in my office, the moment I pick up that phone, the moment I open that email, the moment they walk through that door, they are a constituent. And my pledge is I will listen to them, and I certainly hope that we can come to some sort of a satisfactory agreement. Again, thank you to the Center County Democratic Party. Best elect all candidates up and down the ticket. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, Ezra.
Thank you, Joe. Gosh, we appreciate that. We need more of your spirit and your approach in Harrisburg. We're looking forward to having you win this election. Okay, I'm really excited and proud to introduce our next speaker, Representative Scott Conklin, our representative in this PA House 77th. I just want to say a word here. There are few people who I've ever met who understand how politics in Pennsylvania work and who put that knowledge to such beneficial use. Scott, I just want to say thank you, to your wife, Terry, for your years of honorable service to our county and state. It is a privilege to know you, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, Ezra. With that, I think I'm just going to end my speech. I mean, what you said is better than anything I can put out there. But I do want to tell you, anytime you can sit next to a national TV personality and they look as beautiful as your wife does and represented Center County so well, my hat's off to you. Mieke, you were fabulous the other night. I was proud.
She can hear you. She just was helping our kids for a minute, but that means a lot. Thank you.
Oh, she made us proud. Sean, if you're still listening, I still remember 2008. It was nice to see you again. And for the rest of everybody else, you know, the good news is is that every TV reality show like Honey Boo Boo and others last 3 to 5 years. So with that said, the Donald Trump reality show is at the end. Thank goodness it's over. I can't wait for it to stop. But, you know, for myself, the other candidates who are, I think it's the best group of candidates I've ever had to run with, our election has nothing to do with us. Outside of doing house repairs today and getting the yard signs out there up around here, everything we do is going to be because of the people listening tonight. No victory can be achieved for myself or Joe Biden or Joe Walsh or Ian or anybody else or Peter. Nobody can win this race without the people who are tuning in tonight. And for myself, I know my absentee ballot came on Friday. I took it to the drop box because of what the commissioners did. It was easy. It was 5 minutes from my house. I was able to drop it off. And the good news is, when I was dropping mine off Saturday at the drop box in the Shannon Valley at Alan Sinclair's office, I had to wait in line to put my ballot in the drop box because Democrats were there putting their ballots in. The next 2 weeks are up to us. We can put out everything we want. We can talk as many political speeches as we can. But at the end of the day, it's up to us now. Me, you, everybody listening. Because I believe that Joe can win. I believe Peter can win. I believe Ian can win. I believe Lee can win. And all those victories come from the people listening tonight. And for myself, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. I want to thank the county commissioners. I wished I would have served with a Democratic controller and a Democratic treasurer. Believe me, a lot of contracts would have been done much differently if we would have had that. Ezra, what you've done is a great job tonight, but God bless every one of you. Thank you for what you're doing for us. And for me, I can't wait to listen. I can't wait to listen to my good friend from Philly who'll be talking later. It's a great night. Thank you for what everybody's doing, and let's go get them.
Scott, thank you. Gosh, it just means so much. Everything that you do, we truly appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Our next candidate is Ian Kidd, candidate for state representative in the 81st House District. Ian is a truly smart and good person. He's savvy politically, and he is fighting the good fight in a very tough district. Ian, we appreciate what you do. Let's all show our appreciation for Ian and the great campaign that you've run. Ian, take it away.
Oh, thank you very much, Ezra. Good evening. As Ezra said, my name is Ian Kidd. I'm the Democratic nominee for the 81st District of Pennsylvania, a district which has never been represented by a Democrat. And we here in the 81st believe that it's time for a change, and that we have the ability and the opportunity to make that change. Now, what I believe here in the 81st District is that it's important for us as Democrats to stand committed to our principles, right? But we also have to be able to reach out to individuals who disagree with us, whether they believe in a different political ideology, whether they have a different background, whether they come from a different set of experiences than we do. We need to reach out with a handshake and not with a hatchet. We need to be committed to our principles. We need to be flexible enough to adopt our language and our experiences to that of other individuals. And when we do this, then we open up the floodgates for what we can do and what we can accomplish together. We have things like investing in small businesses, which is over 75% of Pennsylvania industry. We have things like agricultural revitalization. We have this huge task here in the 81st and central Pennsylvania in general to get the multinationals, to get the large CEOs and the Land O'Lakes and the Monsantos out of our farms. Sorry, my dog. Out of our farms and out of our neighborhoods, right? We have this opportunity to save our environment. And actually, we have a constitutional requirement to save our environment. As state representatives, we take an oath to uphold the Pennsylvania Constitution. Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution states plainly that we have a responsibility to uphold the public goods and the public land that we have inherited from the generations in front of us, and that we also have a duty to maintain and conserve that land for the generations coming up yet behind us. So we have all of these things to do. We have so much to do, but what it takes first is to prove, Scott, Joe, Peter, and I, we have to prove to our constituents, Democrat, Republican, Independent alike, that we are the people who they can trust to take a mandate to go to Harrisburg. Now, we do that by showing up every single day. We do that by staying committed to our principles, by staying committed to our values, and by keeping a direct focus on the mission ahead. You know, when it's not about us, when it's about the work, then people decide that we are the right party each and every time. And so we can talk, like Scott said, we can talk about politics, we can talk about everything we want to do once we get to office, but first we have to do the hard work here in the 81st due to gerrymandering. It's pretty hard, but we have to do the hard work of dedicating ourselves and showing that we can lead by example as office holders in the state of Pennsylvania.
Ian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Proud to have you running in the 81st. And
thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Center County.
You got it. You have our support. Okay, I'm going to take just a moment on this intro because this is a candidate that I know quite well. Peter Buck, our candidate for state representative in the 171st. Hey, we have a special guest, Peter. Sasha, welcome, buddy. All right, I just want to say I'm proud to serve as Peter's fundraising chair. When Peter asked me, I couldn't have said yes more quickly. This is a person that I believe in. I've learned a lot from. He's one of our top leaders on renewable energy in the state of Pennsylvania. Can you guys hear me? My internet connection just went unstable. Can you give me a thumbs up?
You're good, man.
Yeah.
I think we froze up a little bit.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
So you can hear me, but Ezra can't hear me?
it appears to be that way.
Oh, no.
Yep. Go ahead, Peter.
So, okay, I'll just begin then because it looks like Ezra is frozen. It is really awesome to be here. I want to give a big shout out to Mayor Pete for showing up and for bringing up joy. Because in the last 2.5 weeks of this election, if there's something that we're going to need, it's going to be joy. We got to have fun. And next weekend, we're going to do that by going out in the buck truck and playing music all across the 171st. We're going to bring a message of positivity and focus and passion, compassion, empathy to people all across this incredible district. I want to thank Malcolm Kenyatta for speaking later. You're an inspiration. Thank you for going on the Maddow show, because when you spoke about HR 1032, you know what happened? People like Ezra, people like my wife Lexi, the Nancys and the Cheryls and the Joes and the Jeffs, they said, you know what, Carrie Benninghoff, Mr. Gerrymandered House Majority Leader, and I stress gerrymandered House Majority Leader, we're not taking your nonsense so-called election integrity committee. We're not taking it. You don't get to tamper with my vote. And you, after 2020, you're not going to pick your voters anymore. The voters are going to pick their legislators because we're going to set up a fair districting process. Everybody knows that Pennsylvania's legislature, and no offense to Scott here, is riddled with problems because the Republicans cheated. Period. End of story. They've become so corrupted by power now and dark money that they aren't working on the things that every person on this call knows we have to get done. The advancement of a living wage so that you can be secure in your home. On renewable energy, smart, sustainable agriculture, green buildings, electric vehicles, and partnering with public and private forest lands so that we are taking action on climate change. Things that people my son's age are saying, you got to do this. Your generation has to do this because it's going to fall on us. When it comes to racial justice, charter school reform, rural broadband, we know that the Republicans are simply going to sit on their hands or run in the wrong direction because the Koch brothers are telling them to do it. So we got to do this. We got to change things from the top of the ticket so that Joe Biden, a man of incredible decency, takes the presidential office, so the people down the ballot, to me, to A.G. Shapiro, that we bring change to Pennsylvania and integrity. So thank you so much, Ezra, for being our MC. Thank you to everybody for being here tonight. And get out and vote.
Peter, thank you. Can you guys hear me now? My internet dropped. I missed my whole intro for you. I'm so sorry, but we're so proud of you. Thank you, Peter. You're amazing. All right. Okay. All right, we're back. We're back. All right. Okay, so we're going to do something very special. We're going to bring on a new guest. We're going to bring on Laura Shadle. Laura is an absolute expert on voting in Center County. I love being on webinars with her. We did a podcast, and she's just knows so much. So Laura, if you could take a few minutes and just talk to us about voting in Center County on campus, that would be great.
Hey Ezra, and hey Center County Dems family. It is great to be here with you guys. Just jump on real quick. I'm assuming you can hear me. I don't know why my video won't turn on, but maybe if I'm not sure if Ava's able to do that from her end, but either way, it's if we get the video on, I'll show you my adorable kitten who is in my lap too. But yeah, I can just jump on. I wanted to give you some quick just voting information. So currently I serve as the Center County Jury Commissioner. So I'm in Center County government. I also was AVA before. I was the executive director of Center County Democrats for a few years. I have a close relationship with the whole teamwork slate, the whole group in county government. I ran their campaign, and I know a lot about what's going on with all the new voting procedures and everything like that, just from working closely with Michael Pipe and others. And so I really just want to stress these two big things. Many of you have received ballots already and have taken them to drop boxes, which is fabulous. As you've probably seen, we've got locations all across Center County, everywhere from Phillipsburg, Ferguson Township, Patton Township, State College Borough, Bellefonte Borough, Spring Township, and Center Hall, and soon to be one at the Hub. That's a really fantastic method if you are voting. I would also stress if you, or really you, anyone you know has not received or they have not applied for a mail-in ballot yet, get everyone to go to centercountyvotes.com and sign up to early vote at the Bryce Jordan Center. That is our satellite elections office now. We're basically just trying to assure people there's really no benefit or reason to be voting in person on election day, having these options, and so much can happen between now and then. I mean, we are still considered a COVID hotspot area. So we really want to get more people early voting as well. So I would say those are the two big things that we want to stress and get out, that information we want to get out.
That's wonderful, Laura. Thank you so much. We are going so efficiently tonight that we are just way ahead of the game. I think, Greg or Ava, is Malcolm, our Representative Kenyatta, on the line yet?
Yes, he is ready to join us.
Oh, this is fantastic. Okay, this is exciting. I am going to introduce a very special speaker, our featured speaker tonight. It's a privilege to introduce one of the bright lights in the firmament of Pennsylvania's and our nation's political present and future. I first became familiar with Representative Malcolm Kenyatta of Pennsylvania's 181st House District in Philadelphia County when I watched you talk on Rachel Maddow about the danger of PA House Resolution 1032, which had been put forth by the House GOP in a last-ditch effort to grab control of this year's election outcomes. Your clear and compelling framing of the issue, first of all, I was just so impressed, but that framing, the way you framed that, was instrumental in preventing the passage of that bill, along with the efforts of our local candidates and other House candidates before the election. So we should all be grateful to Representative Kenyatta for that outcome. Malcolm Kenyatta is the first openly LGBTQ person of color and one of the youngest members elected to the PA General Assembly, and he is deeply committed to creating an equitable and inclusive society. Thank you for that. He was also chosen by Vice President Joe Biden to be one of the keynote speakers of the Democratic National Convention. Please join me in welcoming Representative Malcolm Kenyatta. Malcolm.
Thank you so much, Ezra, and I'm so excited to be with the Center County Dems. I wish this was, a different time and not the age of COVID in which we find ourselves, that I could be back there with you. I'll tell you this, one of my best friends went to Penn State, and so I spent a lot of time coming up to State College as a young college student, and getting to know the people there and getting to see, where she spent five years of her life, because she did what we call a victory lap in undergrad. You take a little extra year. And so let me say this. We're 16 days now between this election on November 3rd. We have 16 days left. And as much as I love my good friend Scott Conklin, who I've had the pleasure of working with and serving with, and as much as I'm impressed by Joe and Pete, who are stepping up and running for seats against Goliaths, but who are running because they understand what's at stake for families in Center County. As much as I think these three gentlemen are fantastic, I think we need to be very clear about something. This election is not about the two people behind me. It's not about the three I just mentioned. This election is about you. This election is about your family. And what I find unfortunate is that for so long, there have been folks, because it helps them politically, who've worked very hard to convince working people across the state who happen to live in different places geographically that they have nothing in common. Being in Harrisburg, one of the things I hear all the time is that, oh my God, if you're in Philadelphia, then you have no idea what's happening in Allegheny County. And if you're in Allegheny County, boy, you can never understand what's happening in NEPA and what's happening in Center County. If you're in Center County, you never understand what folks are dealing with in Greene and Washington counties. But here's the reality. In Harrisburg, as Peter just went through very eloquently, we have a Republican majority that is dead set on ensuring that they keep power by whatever means necessary. And to do that, they have aligned themselves with a money machine that's funded by big corporations, by big business, by millionaires who don't want to pay their fair share to help Pennsylvania families. That's how simple this is. And I was listening to what Peter was talking about, and if you took away, his little tagline there to let us know where he's from, he could have been talking to a family here in North Philly. Because broadband is an issue right here in Philadelphia where I am. We have young people who are, because of this pandemic, have to learn virtually. And they're coming to the parking lots of our local fresh grocer and going to local libraries and going to friends who have internet to get access so they can learn and prepare themselves for their future. That's wrong. We all know that's wrong. But the Republican majority, led by Leader Benninghoff, has done nothing on broadband access, not for rural communities, not for suburban communities, not for urban communities. They've done nothing. We're sitting right now on $1 billion of unspent CARES money, while family farms are going out of business, while people in communities across Pennsylvania are worried about whether or not they're going to be able to stay in their homes. Why aren't we funding the past program? Why aren't we doing things like making sure we extend that moratorium so folks aren't kicked out of their homes? Instead, and Ezra, you know this, we're naming bridges up in Harrisburg while families are worried whether or not they're going to live under them. And so when you're thinking about this election, it is very, very simple. Either we're going to have people in office like Joe Biden, who came from the same type of working class community that I came from in North Philly, have those type of people in office who are centering our families, all of our families? Or are we going to continue to let a billionaire in the White House and all of his millionaire friends across Pennsylvania continue to set an agenda that works quite fine for them, but isn't working for everybody else? And so I'm happy to be here with you. I'm happy to fight with you. I'm happy to work with you, because I know that when Center County succeeds, when folks in my community succeeds, Pennsylvania succeeds. And I reject this notion that we're too distant we're too far. Working people across this Commonwealth have to unite. We have to link arms, and we have to push back against the same interest that has held us stagnant for way too long. So thank you, Ezra. Thank you to Center County Dems, and I can't wait to be back out there with you.
Malcolm, thank you so much. We are together, and that message means so much to all of us. Thank you for representing us in Philadelphia, in Harrisburg, across the state, on the national media. We're proud of that, and it makes us feel comforted to know that we have such great representation. So.
And Ezra, and thank you again to your much better half.
Yes, she is amazing. Thanks, Malcolm. Oh, wow, I feel great. This has just been truly wonderful. Thank you, first of all, to all of our speakers. This is where we say a lot of thank yous. So please stay with us, because there are people who have put so much into tonight's event. And I just want to say some words of thanks so that we acknowledge everybody. First of all, to all of our speakers tonight, just words of wisdom, words of inspiration, such commitment. Thank you. Our elected officials, our candidates, and to all of you for supporting the Center County Democratic Committee. This organization is the bedrock of our Democratic campaigns in Center County, and it empowers tens of thousands of people with the information that they need to vote. So to that end, also a very, very special thanks to our Executive Director, Ava Bosco. Ava, you are amazing, and we are truly fortunate to have you. Thank you. I want to say thank you to the wonderful Linda and Carol White for all that you do every year to make all of our events such a huge success. I miss seeing you at the check-in table. I miss seeing you throughout the dinner. That is for me maybe the thing that I'm missing the most about this. But thank you. And finally, I want to thank our leadership in the Center County Democratic Committee. You, Betsy and Greg, Betsy Whitman, our vice chair, Greg Stewart, our chair, you give an unimaginable amount to our party and to our community. I'm so grateful. We all are, for everything that you do. You are the driving force, you're the energy, and it just means so much to all of us. So friends, we have 16 days to get out the vote, win this election. Please join us. Please join all together in doing everything you can. I know you are. I know you are. So let's do this. Let's win.